Hello, I am the Theorizer. I spent 3.5 solid years making videos on something very complicated. A while ago, lots of people were discussing this cool idea that all of Pixar's movies are connected into one world along a gigantic timeline. It's very epic, but I chose to do something based purely off of minor details we see in the films, and I got a more multiversal answer. As I always do, I decided to fix all of Pixar's plot holes by filling in the gaps with information found in their other films. They've confirmed that they don't actually put this much thought into their character backstories, so I've spent 3 years proving, with a high degree of logical probability, the perfectly filled backstories using exclusively other information they have revealed. It was perfect because it was essentially a fanfiction theory that was entirely true, because I simply filled holes with their own data. Now, this only applies to Toy Story, Inside Out, Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, and Up. I have a 12-part video series, all a part of one cohesive playlist, which I will link above in the card now. This is the final video. I promised I'd make a short epilogue if more evidence arose in Toy Story 4, or if people commented something of importance. Any more logical inconsistencies that need filling will be filled. I'm making this last video, and then I'll make one enormous 2-hour-long compilation video later this year for easier viewing. A feature-length film playing all of the theories back to back. So let's end this. This is the final video I will ever make regarding this 5-film connection, this pentagonal universe, before I likely move on to their other films. The main reason I'm making this epilogue, because to my utter shock, Toy Story 4 revealed to us Emma Jean herself in the flesh as a guest star. No joke. Emma Jean. I solved her life story, everything there is to know about her solved, but we never figured out what she looked like until I saw Pixar's latest addition to the Californian quintet, Toy Story 4. In this one, we finally see Emma Jean. Quickly recapping, Emma Jean is a mystery woman who sent a postcard which is seen on Andy Davis's wall in deleted Toy Story 3 footage. The postcard was sent to Carl and Ellie Fredrickson from Up. I deduced in 2016 with loads of internal evidence and the director's own spontaneous statements that Emma Jean is Carl's ex-wife, with whom in that short period of time they birthed Andy's mom from Toy Story and Riley's mom from Inside Out. Emma moved on and married Gary from the short film Jerry's Game, whatever, and had Renata Linguini and Mrs. Sherman. Renata is, of course, Linguini's deceased mother from Ratatouille, and Mrs. Sherman is the mother of Darla from Finding Nemo. Hours of evidence. Once again, you can watch the videos. Genetics, locations, timing, all consistent. A massive family tree timeline conspiracy. All to prove that Emma Jean is the matriarch of Pixar, the center of the tree. Last I theorized, I claimed she's likely a redhead, green-eyed traveler, a weathered old woman with lots of worldly experience, who hangs most likely around California with her husband Gary, unless she's dead, which would explain Gary's apparent loneliness in the short film. Well, I'm here to say, she's not dead, at least not in this time, because Emma Jean is the antique shop owner from Toy Story 4. I thought it the second I saw her, and I'm sure lots of you did too after watching my video on her genetics and then seeing her orange-haired granddaughter, because this woman is the only unexplored old woman of any significance in the entirety of these Pixar films. So yes, this woman is from California, one of our established key locations. That fits the bill. Her age is roughly around the age of which I claimed Andy's grandmother is supposed to be. Check. Her granddaughter's unique genetics match up perfectly with Mrs. Sherman and Renata Linguini. Bingo. But wait, who is her granddaughter? Clearly it is not Darla, and clearly it is not Linguini, so who is it? Did Emma have another child? Insofar as it is the only explanation, it would seem so. Again, all of this is just half-logic plot hole filling. But before we delve a little and finally factor in the last Toy Story movie, I need to address something commented on Part 12, something that does in fact save most issues from here on out. As you know, there are a few errors with the dates. Well, no, not really errors, just more or less, they aren't as fixed as I'd hoped. they're mostly just ranges, no truly definitive years. As much as I'd hoped for exacts, it simply isn't the case in terms of how to go about solving this. But the new evidence is so definitive that it trumps some of the ambiguity. It has something to do with locations. Remember how I said Emma Jean was traveling around the world, Australia and France primarily? Well, get a load of this. As commented by Eric Casper, a YouTube channel known as Let's Think searched and found that the zip code on Emma's postcard was sent from, get this, France. So for any of you who thought I was pulling European travels out of fucking nowhere, there you go. This is essentially logical confirmation. I went so far explaining things bending over backwards and extending this glorified fanfiction into a family tree we never even begin to see in the films, traveling to various countries. This small but brilliant piece of evidence is what grabs both ends of this conspiracy and pulls it around, connecting the beginning to the end. A closed loop. We end where we began, with the postcard, proving that it all still makes sense, even at the furthest reaches I've ever made. Now on to Harmony and her grandmother, Blue Eyes. So if anything, this is somehow a third girl on Carl's side. There's little evidence more to suggest it. This is about all we've got. A prominent old Californian woman and proof of her red-haired, light-eyed genetics. Fortunately, the zip code on Emma Jean's postcard is just perfect. Emma Jean was traveling to France. It makes perfect sense. She owns an antiquarian gift shop. She lives relatively near Andy at a carnival fair place, not at all dissimilar to the likes of Carl's balloon-pumping occupation at the circus. She's a kindly, worldly, elder, perfect fit. It just makes sense. Even Gabby the doll looks like some sort of custom-made incarnation of a younger Emma. If any woman in any film is going to be Emma Jean, it is going to be this one. So that's that. Everything has been solved to the best and briefest of my ability. If you have more evidence from the antique shop, be sure to comment. I will be pinning a list of additional evidence that you can find, particularly from Toy Story 4, because the bow on this series of mine needs to be tied. This is the last Pixar theory video you'll see in terms of this specific family. Again, I'm going to, later this year, post one enormous compilation of the Californian trilogy, the Ratatouille trilogy, the Finding Nemo trilogy, and this final tetralogy, mixed into one enormous Tredicology, just like I did with the Coraline series. Stay tuned, make sure you definitely subscribe. There's a lot of theories still coming this year. You all seem to prefer it when I take a look at individual characters from Nickelodeon shows, so I'll be doing a little more of that, as well as some updates on popular TV show predictions I have. As far as films go, I've still got Flushed Away, Ice Age, Hoodwinked, and even more on my mind. So we'll see when I can deal with those too. Make sure to like and, again, comment your evidence towards this woman being Emma, because this is increasingly the ultimate conclusion. The only part that confuses me is the granddaughter, because we see her nowhere else. This 13-part magnum opus of Pixar's logical correction took everything I had out of me, and this is the end.